They thought the trial would be the end of him. That a courtroom, draped in formality, could be turned into a trap. They came with their plan written in whispers. Humiliation in public, arrest in chains. But what they forgot is that justice has eyes, and that day in that room those eyes were watching. Yes, they took me to court, not for justice, but for revenge. Not to prove I was wrong, but to erase everything I stood for. They tried to bribe the judge. Offered him comfort, protection, money, titles, all for one thing. Sign the paper, approve the arrest, let them drag me out in chains. But this is Africa, and not every man can be bought. I stood before them, not with fear, but with faith. And what the judge said that day changed everything. They thought it would end in silence. Instead, it ended with truth. Now, let me show you what happened inside that courtroom. They tried to arrest him in court, but what the judge said surprised everyone. The courtroom was packed. Every seat taken, every corridor filled with whispers. Journalists clutched their cameras. Soldiers lined the walls. People stood on tiptoe outside the doors just to catch a glimpse. Not because it was just another trial, but because of who stood inside it. Captain Ibrahim Traoré. He wasn't there as a defendant. Not officially. He had come to answer a summons, an inquiry into his leadership, masked in legal language, unconstitutional conduct, regional disruption, abuse of executive authority. But everyone knew what this was. It wasn't about justice. It was about control. The same powers that had failed to remove him in silence were now trying in the open, publicly, legally, or so they claimed. The plan was simple. Humiliate him on record. Frame his resistance as rebellion and arrest him right there in front of the nation. What they didn't plan for was the judge. He walked into the courtroom, wearing the robes of neutrality, but his eyes were already scanning the room. He saw the soldiers who weren't usually there. He saw the foreign advisors seated like spectators in the back. He saw the script playing out before a word had even been spoken. Traore entered, not with an entourage, not behind tinted glass, but on foot, alone, head high, dressed in the same military fatigues he had worn in the field. The crowd didn't cheer. They didn't need to. Their silence spoke louder. He took his seat. No handcuffs, no guards, just presence. The hearing began. One official read out the allegations delivered with practiced detachment. The language was sharp, formal, sterile, but everyone knew what it meant. You've become too powerful. You've disrupted the old system. You've said too much. Now you must pay for it. Then came the cue. Two plainclothes officers stood up from the side of the room. Their hands moved to their waists. Not suddenly, calmly, deliberately. The judge paused. Traore didn't move. He looked straight ahead. His expression didn't change. But across the courtroom, eyes widened. Someone in the crowd gasped. A journalist's hand shook. The officers stepped forward. And that's when the judge did something no one expected. He stood, raised a single hand, and said, "This is a courtroom, not a battlefield, not a theater, not a tool for intimidation. No arrest will happen here today." The room froze. The officers hesitated, looked to someone in the back, waited, but no order came. The judge turned toward them. "You do not carry authority here. The law does, and the law is not afraid." Whispers broke into murmurs. The crowd shifted. Outside, the news had already spread. They're trying to arrest him. In court, what did the judge say inside? Traore finally stood. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't call names. He simply said, "Is this how we treat those who serve? Is this what justice has become a stage for silencing?" He looked around. "To the officers, I forgive you. You didn't write this script, but I will not play your part." Then he looked to the judge. "You've reminded us what a courtroom should be." And with that, he stepped back, not out of fear, but out of respect. The judge didn't order silence. He didn't strike his gavel. He let the tension speak for itself. And as Traore walked out of the courtroom, no one stopped him. Not one soldier raised a hand. Not one order was given because something had shifted. Power had tried to walk in through the back door, and justice had held the front. That night, the footage went viral. Not just in Burkina Faso, but across the continent. Not because of the drama, but because of the dignity. The image of a soldier standing in court. Not fighting, not yelling, just standing. And a judge refusing to bow to pressure. They tried to arrest Captain Traore in court. But what the judge said reminded the world what real authority sounds like. In a world where power bends the truth, dignity is the last defense. And on that day, dignity won.